Hi there. So I'm about to go on a 1-month holiday to Europe. I'm leaving in a couple of days. So today I'm going to do a ramp test. How much fitness do I actually lose in 4 to 5 weeks off? So when I'm back in about 5 weeks time, I'm going to do another ramp test, and we're going to see if it's more than I expected, it's going to be less than I expected. And I'm glad you guys are on this journey with me because, you know, I've never done this experiment before. I think it's pretty cool. So just to give you a bit of a background of my training status and my fitness at the moment, I'd say I'm pretty well trained. I've been consistently riding for, 5, 6 years, something like that. I've taken months breaks at the time, but usually pretty consistent. In these last 12 weeks though, I've been very consistent, doing about, not too much, maybe 7 hours a week, so 4 rides or so, 3 or 4 rides. And that usually consists of a long ride, 1 session, and maybe just a couple of easy spins. But let's first talk about the ramp tests and why I like the ramp test. So for those who don't know, a ramp test, it calculates an FTP just by working out 75% of your best 1 minute power. So if your best 1 minute power is 400, your FTP is 300. And I call this a very blunt tool because it gets you close enough, but it's definitely not very accurate. So the reason why I use it is because it's very repeatable. It doesn't require a lot of mental energy and pacing strategies. You're just pretty much going as hard as you can until you can't go anymore. Yes, it hurts, but it only hurts for 2 or 3 minutes, which most people can suffer for. I think it's a great way to determine your training zones. So every time I've done a ramp test, the training zones have been quite accurate. But with that number, can I do 1 hour at that number? I'd say probably not. I think for guys like me who are a little bit more explosive, better at 1 5-minute power sort of people, it overestimates a little bit. I think everyone obsesses too much about FTP as your ability to ride your bike. I think the best use of FTP really just gives you your training zones. But in the next 5 minutes, I'm actually going to start riding and maybe actually chat and ride at the same time because I actually don't have that much time to make this video. I'm using Join Cycling's protocol ramp test, which is you set your FTP to 250 and then it goes up by and then it slowly ramps up 25 watts at a time. I think Zwift does a similar one where you can do, I think it ramps up 20 watts at a time, or you can do the light one, which is 10 watts at a time. Anyway, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm doing the same test today and I'm doing the same test in 5 weeks, we can work out how much fitness I've lost and my power curve. So yeah, I'm very caffeinated up and I'm gonna start riding. Performance enhancer. All right, so what I'm gonna do is go into the Join Cycling app. So it's given me an estimate of 270. Actually 270 is my PB. I think I finished the last 3 years with the max of 270. So if I can get anything better than that today, I'll be pretty happy. The 250. I reckon I'm gonna get 275 today, which puts me at about, I'm pretty light, so 4.5 watts per kilo. But we'll see what happens. I'm just going to use the Join workout player. Power source, we always have to go the power pedals. So why am I doing this experiment? Well, I have a bit of a theory. I reckon a lot of people out there can't fully relax on holidays because they've got a fear that they'll lose fitness and their last 2 years of training will just go down the drain. And yeah, 100% get that. We've all heard that consistency is the best thing. Luckily for me, I'm really good at relaxing and really good at taking holidays. But there's a lot of science, which I'll delve into later in this video, showing that taking time off training not only is good for your body, it's also essential for avoiding fitness plateaus and progressing in the long term. And one thing I've observed in a lot of pro athletes is that people have taken massive chunks of time off due to injury, crashes, stress fractures, but somehow they're able to come back after 10 weeks of training and have their best season of their life. There must be something about resetting your body that avoids you from plateauing and keeps that improvement going.
So yeah, we'll see how we go. In about 15 minutes, I won't be able to talk. Won't be a pretty sight, to be fair, but that's okay. All right, another thing I've heard is erg mode versus non-erg mode. For me, I like erg mode because it means that you don't spike your watts, which is very possible. Even if there's a number on the erg mode, you're never gonna get exactly that number anyway. So, you know, you're always gonna go a little bit above, a little bit below. A lot of people might be wondering, what's going on with my heart rate monitor here? Well, I've had this for 12 years. It's actually one of my first heart rate monitors ever. Torn it to shreds. All the screws are absolutely stuffed. I was gonna buy a new one multiple times, but somehow it's still surviving. All right, time for my earphones because it's gonna hurt soon. All right, this is where the hard work starts. Fuck me, that was hard. While I cool down, let's have a look. Best 1 minute power. All right, 375 times 0.75, 281. You know, it's better than I expected. That's what divided by 62, 4.5, a bit more than 4.5 watts per kilo. Yeah. So I'll take that, my best ever result on an FTP test, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that was the hardest I've worked in a very, very long time. And that's including races as well. I didn't even realize I could get my heart rate that high. I'm really looking forward to this holiday and coming back and seeing how many watts I've lost. My prediction, 20%. That's gonna be my guess. See you guys when I get back. I'll probably be a few kilos heavier. Actually, I won't be. I can't gain weight. But see you guys when I get back. Living our best life.
And just like that, I am back. 5 weeks later, I am back here. I had an amazing trip. Didn't do much other than eat, drink, lie on the beach, explore new places. I will admit, I did a couple of rides. I went to Mallorca and did 2 rides. Did the lighthouse ride, if anyone knows that, beautiful ride. 3-hour ride at 100 watts sort of thing. So, you know, I don't know if you could call that training, but it was hot. It was very hot. So other than the lighthouse ride in Mallorca, I just did a really hilly ride around to the monastery, if anyone's ever been there before. The roads there are like heaven. You know, you get a lot of respect. You get a lot of respect from drivers. Infrastructure is good, road surface is good, and the scenery is spectacular. So I will admit it hasn't been nothing, but it's been the least activity by far I've done in over a year. So, and then on top of that, when I got back last week, I got sick for a week as well. So I haven't been doing much since then. So I guess the whole point of this video is to test how much fitness I've lost. So obviously 5 weeks ago, I had an all-time FTP, or I tested an all-time high of, I think it was just over 4.5 watts per kilo, so 280 something. I'm just gonna have a guess. I reckon I'm gonna end up with an FTP of 240. Actually, 242. Yeah, it's never a round number, 242. How's that sound? Wish me luck, because I haven't done anything with my heart rate over 140 in so long. Maybe mentally, I just won't be as strong. So after we get this result, we'll go on the computer, we'll compare the 2 results, and then we'll discuss a few factors, and we'll also dive into a bit of the science. All right, ready to watch me suffer again for the 2nd time this video? Okay, so let's first look at the result. So before I left, I was 282, now I'm 246. What's that? That is 36. There we go, 36 watts. So pretty close to what I predicted. Percentage wise, that is about 13%. I have a feeling if I redid this test in a week's time, I'll probably get about 10 watts more, just because it's getting back into training. It's getting that mind to muscle connection back, which you get back pretty quickly. All right, so I'm just gonna say I actually found the first one, so the one where I was obviously much fitter, much harder, much harder. And maybe that's because I was able to push myself more. Maybe it's because my heart rate was at a higher amount for longer, but I did go all out on both of them. You know, that's the beauty of the ramp test. It really tests you until you can't pedal anymore, and then you stop. You know, there's not as much of a mental component involved. But let's look at the heart rate, because that's actually quite interesting. So if you look at when I was fit, my heart rate just went up quite steadily, no big jumps. But when I came back from holiday, as soon as I got above sort of 150 watts, it just went up to 141, and then kept climbing from there. Okay, so what's the point of this video? Did you guys just want to know how much fitness you lose when you go away? There are way too many variables for it to be an accurate test. For starters, I'd say I've got a pretty long-ish training history compared to a lot of people. So, you know, the longer training history you have, the faster you get your fitness back, the less you lose. Whereas if you're a new athlete and you take a month off, take 2 months off, you're probably going to lose your fitness a lot quicker, and it's probably going to take longer to build it back as well. Another thing I'd say is I did do a lot of walking when I was away. So something like 30,000 steps a day, almost, because I just love exploring new places, wandering around these European towns was really awesome. So did that contribute to fitness? Did that contribute to blood flow through the legs and not losing too much leg strength? Possibly. But the main thing I want to get across in this video is that you're probably not going to lose as much fitness as you think. And more importantly, rest is actually super important for your development. So the science actually tells us that rest from exercise is actually really good for you. Not only good for you, probably essential. And probably the biggest reason for this is hormone resetting. So things like cortisone, things like growth hormone, things like testosterone, they're all changed negatively throughout the season, or throughout, if you put together multiple, weeks and months of training together, they change and they don't reset unless you take an extended break of not exercising. And at some point, we're all going to plateau, and the only way of improving yourself is if you reset and then build up again, so start from base. Anecdotally, I've seen this with so many athletes, and pro athletes, cyclists, triathletes. This is a typical example. They come back from a crash. So unfortunately with my job, I have to rehab a lot of cyclists who have crashed, either in races or training. And I just recently had a cyclist who crashed, and pretty much he fractured his sternum and a couple of vertebrae. No cycling for 7 weeks because his lung burst and he was not allowed to exert himself. So 7 weeks of complete rest. And then he had about 10 weeks of proper training. And then he actually came second in the nationals. So massive result for him. And I've seen this happen again and again. When people are forced to take rests, they actually are able to build up again and get pretty fit pretty quickly. Another thing is mental benefits. Training is mentally taxing. Right now, motivation is at an all-time high, which probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't take this extended break. This is actually a really fun time to train because every session you get better, you get fitter than the session before. So thanks for staying with me, guys, and watching me through this journey, and I'll see you in the next video.